Commissioners, we're ready when you are.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order the regular scheduled Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. And we'll start with roll call.
Vice Chairman Dana Hennis,
Present.
Commissioner Brian Clark,
Present.
Commissioner Ginny Greger, Commissioner Jim Mann.
Present.
First item up on the agenda is nomination and election of the commission chairman and vice chairman due to Mr. Young has retired from the commission. So, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Dana Hennis as chairman.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Brian Clark as vice chairman.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good job, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, you guys warned me. It's okay.
Did we? I thought we warned you.
Yeah, well, you guys warned me.
Last time we did it to Lee while he was absent. Okay, next up on the agenda is the consent agenda.
So are you the chairman now? Is he the
Yes.
chairman now? Okay, so Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Aye. Okay, and on to next order of business is public hearing. And this is case number, actually tabled from January 23rd, 2024. It's case number 2305-ZC, 23-06-S, and 23-13-DR for Falcon Crest East Subdivision. Troy?
Oh, good evening, Mr. Commissioner and fellow commissioners. For the record, Troy B. Hoonan, planner, senior planner, Kuna Planning and Zoning Staff, 751 West 4th Street here in Kuna. The applications before you this evening are requesting a rezone for a part of the site and preliminary plat approval in order to subdivide the site into subdivide the site into 654 total lots comprised of 605 single-family lots, 36 common lots, and 7 common driveway lots, 3 private roads, and 3 golf lots. That is all over about 180 acres. The applicant proposes approximately 17.11 acres, or 11.8% of the site, as usable open space, and they are proposing a gross density of 4.16 dwelling units per acre, with a net density proposed at 6.25 dwelling units per acre. Public Works does conditionally support the Falcon Crest East subdivision development with conditions of that limited support listed in the engineer's memo, which is included as an exhibit in your packet. The Planning and Zoning Department agrees with Public Works recommendations. The applicant does propose 7 driveways on common lots for clusters of 3 and 4 homes on each of those driveways within this project. Staff does recommend that the applicant be conditioned to work with the city engineer for proper easement widths for the project as a whole, and in particular, the clustered homes served by these private driveways. In the application for the design review for the common lots, staff would like to highlight and that staff would like the notes on the tree planting notes to be corrected and submitted for staff approval. Right now, they currently state that the root ball and the basket will be cut down 1/4 of the way. Kuna City Code is actually halfway. And with the exception of those notes, the landscape plan that has been presented appears to follow Kuna City Code. and it's for the commission to decide about the notes this evening. Staff has reviewed the proposed rezone for conformance and the preliminary plat for technical compliance with CUNA City Code, and the design review for compliance with Title V and Title VI of CUNA City Code. We have also compared it against the CUNA Comprehensive Plan, and should the commission recommend approval of the rezone and also the preliminary plat and approve the design review, staff recommends the applicant be subject to the proposed recommended conditions as outlined in staff's report, including the notes for the landscaping plans. Staff would just like to highlight that this is a smaller part of a planned unit development known as the Falcon Crest Greater Area, and that was annexed into the city and previous to tonight, and this is just a smaller part of it. The applicant is here tonight, and they do have a small presentation, which is also in your packets. It's on page 2, and it's at the end of the exhibit list.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for Troy at this time?
Not at this time.
Thank you. And if the applicant would like to come up. And just remember to go ahead and state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, Travis Jeffers. I work for M3 Companies. We're the developer of this project. We're located at 1673 West Shoreline Drive, Suite 200, Boise, Idaho 83702. First, thanks to staff and Troy for giving a good summary of what we're here for this evening. I'll try to keep my recap of everything that's already covered to a minimum, and instead just give you guys a little bit more background on the project. Quickly summarize that, as well as show some updates and some things that we've been doing out there, just to give you guys a picture of how this project's coming together. As Troy stated, we're here to request rezone preliminary plat design review for the commission this evening for the Falcon Crest East preliminary plat. Is there anything special I gotta do? Oh, scroll. Oh, that's fast. Okay, sorry. Here's a look at the kind of a colored rendering of the master plan. So as you can see, it's a quite expansive project and just shy of 1,000 acres. We've already brought through 4 preliminary plats. This will mark the 5th, and it's roughly the area that's clouded in red, which is included here this evening. So it includes the remainder of the 55 and older community on the south side of the collector road, and on the north where there's a J, that'll be part of the Gulf Villages area. Those are all the 606 lots that are going to be part of this plat. As just a quick background, there is an existing development agreement with the city. It was established in 2019 for this project, and it really lays the framework for what we have to do to make this project work and to bring forward plats to continue working on this project. This is a different view of the master plan. This was what was included in the development agreement originally. Again, I sort of outlined the area that's included tonight. Originally, this area was thought to be about 640 units when we go and plat it, and it ended up being more like 606. So we came in under that. As Troy mentioned, there's 3 zones that are approved under the development agreement. There's an R6 zone, an R12, and a C2. Tonight, we're just requesting R6 and R12 for this development. And on to a little bit more fun stuff. So this is just kind of a project update portion of the presentation. So if you've driven down Cloverdale anytime in the last year, you might have seen this big Valor sign pop up. That's the marketing name for the overall project. It looks a lot better in the spring and summertime when everything's in bloom, but it's quite the cool monument to enter the community. Sorry. Here's a kind of a somewhat recent view of the Reveille neighborhood, also known as Robin Hood. We built a new par 3 golf course around this community of about 111 lots. Most of them are all backing up to a golf course. And this opened back in May of 23. And if you don't have time for a 4-hour golf round, you can do this in about an hour. It's a lot of fun. It's been very popular, and it's kind of hard to tell, but back here, there's a new roundabout that was built, and I'll show you that here in a second in a rendering form. So this roundabout is part of the Collect Road Tercel, which is the main entry into the community off of Cloverdale. This is a rendering view of the roundabout, and this was before we had landscaped it. It's fully landscaped now, so it looks pretty great. Here's just some more views of some of the work we've been doing from a golf perspective around the community. This is the par 3 cadet course. And just an update on the Trilogy Valor Club. This is the 55 and older specific club site. They've been going to town on this for the last year, and they just opened their new fitness center. They've got a resort-style pool that's overlooking the two ponds that we've built. They've got a spa and a year-round lap pool that's heated. And then this is their fitness center, and they're getting started. They're just going vertical now on their restaurant and social club. So that's been fun to see, and this is specific just to the 55 and older area. We'll be doing a whole nother club up where the existing pro shop is in the very near future. Just another view. Okay. This is the kind of colored rendering of the preliminary plat that's before you this evening. So there's 3 new golf holes that opened in October. Those are open and available. So a lot of these new lots that will be developed in the coming years will be directly on new golf course. And then on the northern side, we're going to be doing a really, really nice pool and park area. There'll be a lot of open space, as Troy alluded to, with the golf and with just great parks throughout the community and trails and connectivity. Here's just a zoomed-in view of that, so you can see. I'll show you some renderings here shortly, but the pool park area, we plan on starting that in 2025 and probably completing that in 2026. This will be the final gated entry into the 55 and older community on the northern side of the Collector Road. And here's some renderings from our landscape architect of what that pool and park will look like. It's quite a unique shape, and it's kind of a beach walk-in type pool. There'll be a restroom, storage, and a large oversized park that will feature playground equipment for all ages. So we're looking forward to doing that. There's another view of it. So very modern, very complimentary of what else we've done out there. We just finished the Reveille Robin Hood pool that'll open this spring, and so this will be another one in the community down the road. This was the original presentation, so we got tabled and we got some things corrected, so just ignore that 8.2 comment. I just wanted to address one thing, staff, and that was the condition within the staff report that I'll just go ahead and read so we are all on the same page here. 1 second. I just want to get some clarification on this. So condition 8.5E, the developer owner applicant shall be required to participate as determined by the city engineer in the development of additional lift station capacity and water booster station as required by the city engineer. It's our desire that that condition is not part of the staff report. We have a development agreement that outlines that very well. It's not included in the engineer's memo as a condition, and we're requesting that condition be removed, as it's clear in our development agreement what our responsibilities are. We've constructed a lift station, a water reservoir, a booster station to serve the development, and all studies show there is sufficient capacity to provide this project along with future preliminary plats that we're bringing forward. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the applicant at this time?
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and open the public testimony at 6:15. And having only signed up on the sheet is Travis, who just gave the presentation. So is there anybody else here that has not got a chance to sign up on this application to testify? And seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public testimony at 6:16 and leaves us up for our deliberation.
So I'm the Falcon Crest newbie here. So,
Ah, that's true, yes.
yeah, this is the first time it's come across my desk. But this has all been previously approved, and this is just a design review, so, from a landscaping standpoint and from a plat standpoint, everything looks thought out. Layout's all good flow through the project, good access.
Yeah, so to clarify, this is a design review plus a pre-plat and rezone. Mainly because they split this up into areas kind of almost like phasing the construction would be, that they'd bring back the preliminary plats
Right.
as we go along. So it's just kind of clarifying as they've developed this particular area as he noted on there. So yes, we have the design review, but then we also are finalizing the pre-plat and the rezone for this. So for the R6, R12. Basically, it all still complies with what was presented in the master plan originally. And, you know, so far from what I've seen out there, they've delivered everything they've set out to date. It looks nice, they're doing well, the construction's going well. The materials and everything seem to be high quality. And so this presentation of this area, especially the little golf village, which, this whole 55 and over and the golf village stuff is not something we have in the valley, which is in a lot of other places, and I think it's a good addition for this project. I think it's well put together. I don't see anything that I have issues with.
No, I agree with that. It's been a long time in front of us, and so far they've delivered on everything they've been asked to do. And basically, it's a good-looking project.
I don't have anything to add. Agree.
In that case, I would stand for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend approval of case number 23-05-ZC and 23-06-S with conditions as outlined in the staff report.
Seconded
I think we need a clarification on
on the extra notes.
Yeah, on the extra note, on the request for condition. I don't know if you want to ask, I just thought of it, but ask staff a question at all about it, or agree or disagree with it.
What does staff think of the addition of the extra note?
Staff would just like to request that the same thing that we did with Falcon Crest East, that they submit a new detail of the plantings that correctly describe, you know, that the root ball needs to be, the burlap and the wire basket need to come down halfway.
Okay, I think we were clarifying on the 8.2E.
Oh, I'm sorry, on the 8.5.
8.5E.
Sorry.
Oh, 8.5E. So that's really just boilerplate language. Staff does understand why they've made this request now, I think 2 or 3 times before. But the qualifying language is as required by the engineer. The engineer hasn't required it. it's kind of a catch-all.
Do you feel it's sufficiently clarified in the development agreement?
I know
to
that
address?
I know that Paul Stevens, the city engineer, had a conversation with the engineer for the project and made her aware, that he doesn't require it. So we'll leave it up to the commission whether it remains or not. But it is boilerplate language. It's just kind of something, just in case that there's something that does come up. But with this one, it's like Travis from M3 did say, there's a development agreement that states what their responsibilities are, and that's not listed. And it's not required anywhere in this application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let me try that again.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of case number 23-05-ZC and 23-06-S with conditions as outlined in the staff report, as well of the deleting the requirement of condition 8.5.E in the agreement.
Seconded. Or,
And the landscape?
in the landscape.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just to clarify, the landscape needs, the tree planting needs to,
Oh, and that's basically a new detail of the plantings.
Chairman, for the record, Doug Hanson, CUDA Planning and Zoning. That condition can be tailored specifically to the design review because that will be particularly just for the landscape plan.
okay.
Okay. So do I need to restate that? Okay.
Okay. Do I have a second? on the
Seconded.
motion? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
And so that one, we just work with the city to provide a new detail to cover the correct planting procedure for the trees.
Correct. So, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve case number 23-13-DR with conditions as outlined in the staff report, as well as the applicant working with the city to confirm the appropriate detail for the tree planting.
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is case number 23-07-SUP and 23-07-DR. Design review for Maverick. Jessica?
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, Jessica Hall, 751 West 4th Street in Cuna. The applicant requests design review approval to construct the 4,425 square foot convenience store with associated fuel island, RV dump, parking lot, and landscaping, as well as a special use permit approval for fuel sales at the subject site located at 80 North Sailor Avenue within the Merlin Point subdivision. The proposed C-store is to match the familiar Maverick colors, materials, and branding throughout the valley and provides appropriate drive aisle widths, ample parking, and good traffic circulation throughout the overall site. A large landscape buffer and sidewalk is already present along Highway 69 as it was installed with Merlin Point subdivision. The applicant will provide additional 10-foot of landscape on the south, along with additional landscaping on the subject site boundaries. The Ada County Highway District has determined no additional right-of-way is required. However, the Idaho Transportation Department is requiring a traffic impact study when the project generates 100 or more new peak hour trips per day. In review of the project, concerns were expressed regarding the potential for increased side impact accidents for traffic turning left onto Highway 69 from North Sailor. However, staff notes that the city's proposed traffic light at Kay and Avalon, which has been approved by ACHD and ITD and is at 95% design completion, may assist in metering the overall traffic in this area. Public Works staff has provided support of this proposed project and notes civil plans will be reviewed and an official EDU count will be made at time of building permit submission. Upon review, staff finds the special use permit and design review request to be compliant with the requirements listed in CUNA City Code Title V and Idaho Code 6765. I will answer any questions you may have.
I have one quick question. So the CUNA Police Department reviewed that, and they are not in support of this application because of that traffic issue. Was that clarified with them if they were aware of the signal?
They are aware of the signal that will be installed, yes.
Okay, was there any opinion on that?
No additional opinion was provided by Chief Fertusco. I did share the concerns he expressed with Idaho Transportation Department, and that TIS for the 100 or more peak hour trips will kind of collect that along with the requirements already set forth for the Merlin Point subdivision as a whole. So there will be items that are triggered improvement-wise as that traffic happens when these different projects at that site itself, not just this one, are constructed.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Jessica?
No, not this time.
Okay, is the applicant present? And if you'd like to.
Hello, my name is Richard Piggott with Maverick. Our offices are located at 185 South State Street in Salt Lake City, Utah. I just want to thank the commissioners for coming out tonight, volunteering your time, and fulfilling your civic duties. We really appreciate it, especially with us as Maverick and developing within the entire state of Idaho and fairly few other states as we're currently going on. Really appreciate Jessica for taking the time and doing a thorough report and going over the requirements and how we meet those requirements. We agree with everything in the staff report and are willing to accept those. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Just want to clarify, you're okay with the traffic impact study that they're requiring?
Yes, we have been working with the overall site developer with his traffic study and his approvals. We're also going in tandem with our traffic study. We've already got 88 County approval from the 88 County Highway District. We're still working with ITD. We are thankful that Jessica mentioned about the traffic signal because our traffic report our traffic study this time didn't have that in there, so it will help immensely in meeting the requirements for that left turn. Left turn is something that for us at Maverick is very important, so we want to assure it's safe and it's something that we won't lose in the future. So we're going to make every effort to make sure that left turn movement is protected.
Perfect, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll open up the public testimony at 6:27. I don't have anybody that is currently signed up on the list. Is there anybody that came in afterwards that didn't get a chance to sign the list that would like to testify? Okay, and seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public testimony at 6:27 again. And that brings up our deliberation. I think the design of the site looks really good. I've always liked the Maverick stations. They've been very nice and they've been kept well. Good service. The only thing I worry about is just coming out of that Sailor Avenue. But I think Jessica makes a good point with the signal. But and driving in here tonight, it wasn't too terrible. It was further up the street than I remembered. So.
Now, I guess the question I have regarding Sailor, that's an existing intersection. Is it currently, it's currently available for left-in traffic?
Yes, there's just really nothing up the road at that point, except a few houses that connect on that.
But there is my understanding is there's okay, so the concern is that we're gonna create more traffic to that intersection. We think that, so the police chief's concern is that it's gonna be a bit of a magnet?
No.
And it's gonna create left-ins and left-outs potentially?
No, we've had citizen concerns on this project in the earlier phases, especially on the driveway to the south, or to the west of this, that trying to make a turn out onto Meridian Road at certain times of the day, across traffic, meaning left turn out from there and going eastbound is difficult. And so that's just been the concern, and I think that's what the chief has kind of reiterated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my Friday mornings, I'll head over to K and even making the left turn westbound from K right now, which is obviously the proposed street light. But, I mean, that whole thing, that whole area is just fun, because that's where people like to pick up speed.
Yes.
So I absolutely, the police chief has a point. That's the thing, I mean, the traffic study is gonna end up dictating that, and that's gonna be a conversation between staff, city engineer, and the developer at the end of the day. That doesn't how much does that impact our design review?
It doesn't, other than the SUP more than anything. It's just,
Okay.
do we feel this is providing any issues for the traffic that other citizens have already come forward on? I personally think as we develop with that signal, and then the talks that I should say the rumblings that we've heard in the past as this area develops, that ITD has taken on the opinion that we might want to drop the speed limit will drop as more traffic increases, which I think would help.
Well, that corner already starts dropping to 35
Right.
as you're rounding the bend.
Yeah, there's been talk
it
about
drops.
moving that back
Yeah.
around the other side of the bend because people come around there pretty good. And that's what I think the people that live on Sailor, and a lot of this in the phase one is where we had that conversation, especially like I said, in the other portion of that lot. But I think we're getting to the point where other safety measures are being put into place. So I feel comfortable with it, and I like what they've done.
My apologies for the record, Jessica Hall, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. Just as a clarification, the special use permit is for the fuel sales only, and then the separate design review for the site design and layout.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, because as far as the design review is concerned, I mean, I'm happy as far as the sales permit, you know. We're selling a little bit of fuel over there anyway, so.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me. So I guess, the site location would be the only thing that.
Right. But that, like I said, that's my only concern, and I think we've kind of mitigated some of that, in my opinion.
Well, I'll give my 2 cents in too, since I live on Sailor. That's an ITD issue as far as how that road is handled. The biggest problem with Sailor is when people are leaving CUNA, K Street is where you start accelerating. So by the time you hit Sailor, you're already 55 miles an hour. And K Street is also where you start decelerating when you're coming into town. So that Sailor intersection right now, people are typically traveling 50 miles an hour through that. And personally, I think at some point that's going to need to be a right-in, right-out only. And there's going to be, I think there's going to be some issues there with some traffic accidents and fairly serious ones, especially when there's a Maverick there. And there's going to be more traffic turning into that. But again, that's kind of out of our hands. I would like to see the police actually enforce the speed limits in that area. So that's my 2 cents on Sailor. But as far as the SUP and the design review, I think the design, it looks like a very nice setup there.
Well, most important with the whole site is the fact that I mean, it's limited, I think it's limited access on 69 anyway.
Yeah.
But, so having the access both to the north and then onto Sailor itself, the parking lot layout makes sense.
Yep.
Right, so with that, excuse me, I'll make a motion to approve case number 23-07-SUP and 23-07DR with conditions as outlined in the staff report.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. There it is. Next item up on the agenda is under business items. It's case number 23-10-DR, design review for Lynrock fourplex apartments.
You guys are going to be sick of me by the end of tonight. Hello again, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, Jessica Hall, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. The applicant requests design review approval for a 104-unit apartment complex, associated parking lot with covered and uncovered stalls, as well as 4 EV charging stations, located on the east side of Linda Road, approximately a quarter-mile north of the West Lake Hazel intersection. This multifamily complex was approved as part of the Lynrock subdivision application on April 6th of 2021. The overall Lynrock site is designated as mixed use on the future land use map and meets the intent by containing the R6 medium density residential, R12 high density residential, and C1 neighborhood commercial zones. The complex contains 26 structures with 4 units each, arranged around the perimeter of a central green space, along South Linda Road behind the required 30-foot landscape buffer, on the south along a large green space with playground and walking paths, and on the east along South Banbury Avenue. Each structure proposes 2 facade options offering earth tones with terracotta accent and utilizes a variety of materials. With the alternating facade, materials, the presence of the balconies and patios, and varied roof lines, the structures provide aesthetic relief while maintaining a cohesive look overall. In accordance with CUNA City Code 593A2, a grand total of 312 parking stalls are required, with 8 of those being ADA accessible. As the project proposes 318 stalls, it is well within compliance. Landscaping for the project was approved as part of the Lynrock subdivision and received additional review by staff February 16th of 2023. Public Works staff has provided support for the project and notes civil plans shall be reviewed prior to submission for building permit. Upon review, staff finds this proposed design review to be in substantial compliance with CUNA City Code Title V and Idaho Code 6765. The applicant representative, Ms. Jane Suggs, is present tonight, and staff is also available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Is there any questions for Jessica?
Not at this time.
For a business item, we don't have applicant presentations. We
They
do?
can, if they would like to.
Ms. Suggs, would you like to? Add any additional information?
Good evening, Commissioners. Jane Suggs. I do not have anything really to add other than Jessica did a really good job of doing the summary, and just respectfully request your approval of the DR for the apartments that are much needed in CUNA.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm answer any questions if you have any.
Is there any questions? I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like the looks of these. I think the varied roof lines, everything, do a nice job of giving something that looks as much not like an apartment as you can. It's got some different textures, different colors. But then again, I'm an engineer.
I know.
No, and I personally, I actually really like the gray tone, rock tone, stone look. Yeah. And I also like the amount of green space. Big fan.
So the landscaping's already been approved?
For the record, Jessica Hall, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. Commissioner Maine, yes, it was approved as part of the subdivision itself. This is just the design review primarily for the parking and for the structures themselves.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Brian. I like the site. I like the landscaping, but it's not an issue here. As far as the buildings go, I have no issue with them. I think the colors will work fine. And, basically they're a 2-story fourplex, so.
Thank you.
more importantly, I think the overall site flow works really well. I'm trying to poke holes in the traffic flow from a, fire standpoint. I mean, 3 points of access and, yeah, I can't complain about that, so. I'm trying.
Well, thank,
Well, and I think there's a good amount of parking here,
Yeah.
like some we've seen before, so I like the layout as well.
Okay.
okay, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. I move to approve case number 23-10-DR with conditions as outlined in the staff report.
Seconded?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, next item up on the agenda is case number 23-15-DR, design review for CUNA Apartments.
Last time, for the record, Jessica Hall, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. The applicant tonight requests design review approval for a 192-unit multifamily complex, associated clubhouse, open spaces, and parking areas at the west terminus of East Profile Lane next to the Ridley's Shopping Center, kind of southwest corner of that overall strip mall. The subject site is Lot 1, Block 1 of the CUNA Apartments subdivision, approved by council January 3rd, 2023, and is designated as high-density residential on the future land use map and meets this designation with its R20 zone. The multifamily structures are situated mostly on the perimeter of the site, while 2 structures and the clubhouse are situated at the center. There are 4 floor plans available within each 3-story structure: 1-bed, 1-bath, 2-bed, 1-bath, or 3-bed, 2-bath, with said units ranging from 736 square feet to 1,227 square feet. Each structure's facade proposes brick veneer, various siding and stucco, earth tone colors, and a glazing accent color which offers cohesive design. Adding in the patios, balconies, locations of openings, changes in facade, and variety in roof lines, it also provides pleasing aesthetic. An 8-foot planter strip, 5-foot sidewalk, and 20-foot landscape buffer runs along the length of North Sailor Avenue on the west boundary, as well as plantings and 5-foot sidewalks around each structure. Open spaces for the complex are provided via the proposed clubhouse with pool and swim deck and 2 open sod areas. Per CUNA City Code 593A2, 3 standard stalls are required per unit, resulting in a grand total of 576 stalls. Based on staff stall count in the site plan, this project provides 12 ADA accessible stalls, 10 of which are covered, and 564 standard stalls, 183 which are covered. North Sailor is to be extended from its current terminus next to Bi-Mart to the southern property line of the project. This section will be constructed as half of a 40-foot street section, plus 12 feet of pavement, ending in a hammerhead-type turnaround for EMS. Though this project is within the Danskin Sewer Basin, Public Works has provided support of this application as the applicant is in possession of 186 prepaid EDUs, with the remaining EDUs for the project being distributed on a first-come, first-come, goodness gracious, first-serve, first-come basis. And the applicant will also be upsizing approximately 1,800 feet of gravity sewer line. Upon review, staff finds this design review request to be compliant with CUNA City Code Title V and Idaho Code 6765. The applicant is present this evening and has prepared a visual presentation, and staff is available to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time? No. Okay. If the applicant would like to come forward.
Good evening, Mark Hampton, 11716 South 7th East in Draper, Utah. Thank you, Commission, for seeing us. This has been a little while coming. I can't remember who was here when we went through the zone change, but this has been a fun project for us. I hope that you've seen that. I don't know what slides you have. We have 8 buildings They're all similar, and the unit count, Jessica did a great job of explaining that. We do have this clubhouse that has a fitness center, has the bathrooms for the pool, and the doggy park grass areas around that in the middle of the complex. We have 3 stalls per unit, it doesn't matter what size the units are, and 1 covered stall for every unit on the campus. We like, let's see, you've seen the unit mix, I hope you've seen that. Do you have this in your package? You've seen all this? Oh, well, you don't need me to explain it then. Our finishes are standard, what you've seen. We try to get a good base of brick veneer on the bottom to give it a foundation, and then some combination of stucco and siding above that. It's pitched roof. It's a garden-style walk-up. We really like the clubhouse, the way it laid out with the fitness and the bathrooms, et cetera. This is going to be leased for, it can be used by the community for birthdays or other gatherings, that whatever they would like. Is there any questions that you might have? We really like the location. We like the fact that it's mixed use around us with retail, and I think our complementary architecture adds to the community. Oh, I might add, we're pleased with. I hope you got a copy of the traffic study. Okay, so yeah, no mitigation. Actually, we were quite pleased to find that the residential use that is anticipated by the traffic study is less than the commercial use as it enters, as it exits onto the roads. So that might be a bonus. Any questions I can answer?
Thank you. I do have 2 quick questions. So you will, I didn't notice it on the landscape plan, and I might have missed it, but there is sufficient fencing around the pool area for security?
Oh, yeah, by code, by
Okay,
code we have
by
to have
code,
that.
yeah.
You can only, let me see if I can get to that. You can only access, I can't blow it up. But yeah, I don't know if it showed that, you're right. By code, we have to have this completely surrounded by a fence so the kids can't climb in, and the only access is going to be through the clubhouse.
Okay, perfect.
It'll be a fob entry.
Okay.
As we do our communities, so when you're a resident, you have to have a fob to get in.
Okay, thank you. Now, also, on the elevation you presented was just basically one elevation. Are all the buildings going to be the same color scheme, or is it going to vary a little as well?
We would like to vary a little, but most of the time what we do is we'll label these A, B, C, and then your unit count was like A1, A2, and there'll be big letters over the walkway entryways to identify them. We'd like to have a little variation in color.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see that,
Yeah,
so definitely.
yeah, we don't want them all the same.
Yeah, I mean, even the colors, but in just different areas or something.
Exactly.
I'll
Yeah,
go
color
to somebody
palette
that's not an engineer.
We like this color palette. I think the community accepts it well, the renter community, so we just blend it a little bit different.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll stand by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, leaves it to us for our deliberations. Like I said, I think the overall layout is pretty good. We've looked at the master plan on this, and this is really just design review of the buildings and the parking, the clubhouse and such. And I think that's
Right.
well, especially if they vary the colors a little bit.
Yeah.
From building to building.
You know, looking at this, we've got 192 units in there, and to me, it doesn't look like, and we probably do, it doesn't look like we have enough green space in here. You know, I look for a play area or a large space, like in the last applicant we had, where, you know, you got 192 units, you got a lot of kids. And they're basically in a confined space, you know, they're behind Ridley's and they're behind Weimar. So, does this meet code as far as green space goes?
Commissioner Maine, for the record, Jessica Reed, sorry, that was my previous name, Jessica Hall, still getting used to that one, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. It does meet green space requirements. In addition, there is a public park owned by the city across in the Ashton Estates subdivision, and the high school is right down the road, as well as an elementary school. There is not a tot lot indicated. However, it's not a requirement for green space. In regards to the previous application, that overall green space was for the subdivision as a whole, including the residential and multifamily use. So it served both, so it was much larger. This is just approximately, I believe it's about 10 acres of multifamily units. So it would be up to you guys to decide what you would like to do with that.
Thank you. Yeah, personally, I'd like to see an area with a little bit larger space. This is kind of dispersed throughout the entire project, and they're relatively small. I mean, even the dog park adjacent to the clubhouse or the pool. Just the areas just look too small for me. Going back to my architectural days, on LEED projects, LEED would blow this out of the water just because of the lack of green space. It's basically created a huge heat island there. We've got tons of asphalt and tons of buildings, so. Personally, I'd like to see something of a little more volume in a green space in one location.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the first things that my eyes cued on. Not picking on the developer too much, but, you know, green landscape rendering would be helpful. Just, you know, I very much have the engineering mind, so looking at the landscape plans, okay, I get it. But the gray site plan doesn't really help. Because the thing that I was queuing in on the west side of the project, we have the very, very, very large parking area. And so what was the minimum requirement for the parking spaces? With 192 units, I could do the math, but it's hard.
It is a requirement of a grand total, 576 stalls
That's the requirement.
required.
Okay, and that's what's provided.
Correct.
Okay, so, that's kind of where we're at. It's, to get more green, they either have to consolidate or lose a building.
And I'm not sure we can do that in design review. That's already been situated with the building.
Okay.
So unless we can shift it around where it is as it is, and if we're at the limit of the spaces,
So I guess the greater question, this is part of a larger development, yes?
It's completely separate from the surrounding developments. It's its own combination plat subdivision with rezone. A small portion was cut off to the south of the east profile terminus for a commercial lot to keep that transition with the rest of the commercial that is frontage along Meridian Road. But this would fade back into this high density, and then the flume designates behind that if that property were to annex as a mixed use. And then south of that is an R6, medium density residential.
I mean, yeah, it does, it conforms to the open space. We've got a lot of green, you just can't tell on here, it's a lot of white. Not a lot in amenities other than the clubhouse and pool.
Yeah, and in the landscape areas that are provided, there are a lot of trees, which is nice, but that precludes a lot of outdoor activity. You know, there's no running, skipping, and playing with trees in the middle. I mean, you know, giant parking lot makes a good football field. And like we said, the high school's right there, right?
Yeah, it's kind of right there.
Yeah, it's a ways away.
So what, hang on a second. So it appears that, you know, this area directly south, kind of that triangulated area directly south of the clubhouse is kind of open. What if we just see if they would provide like an more open area with like a small tot lot or something there to help kind of give them a place to go? I mean, there's not a lot of trees or anything there, and now it's kind of green anyways.
Yeah, I think if they could create a playground area out of one of these spaces, maybe in the northeast corner, up north of Building F, there's a fairly large space up there.
Would the applicant come on up so we can ask a question of you? Thank you. If you go ahead and state your name and
Mark
address for the
Hampton,
record again.
11716 South, 7th East, Draper, Utah. Yeah, I understand your concern, and I think Shaylin's over here trying to green up the white space so you can see how green it is. No, but north of F is a nice little area that we can fence. And then kind of southwest of G, I think the applicant is very willing to create at least 2 lots that are fenced, access for children to play. I would also mention that, I mean, along Sailor with the setbacks, there's large green spaces there that we could also kind of capture for some play areas for the children as well.
Okay, maybe move the trees. I think there were some trees
Yeah,
on the
well-
inboard, maybe move them towards the edge a bit.
Perfect, exactly. Create more green space, or usable green space.
Wonderful. Thank
Agreed.
you. We appreciate the help.
Makes sense, yeah, I'm sorry that we missed that.
No worries, thank you. That seem amenable to you? I think it does for me. It kind of gives a couple of good areas.
Yeah, no, I think those spots are reasonable. Yeah.
With that, then I would stand for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Oops, Jessica?
Yes?
for the record, Jessica Hall, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. I would just like to, I guess, point out on the west property boundary, those grass areas are the landscape buffer next to a roadway. So if there's a potential to shift maybe some of the plantings of the shrubs, perennials and things like that to create more open sod space in some areas, definitely would be supportive of that. You know, maybe trading out some of the plantings between buildings for sod to allow for some more open congregation space between those buildings. But we just have a concern on that west boundary specifically with that major roadway.
Correct, yes. Thank you.
And what's that concern again?
That is a required landscape buffer next to North Sailor Road, which will be a major entry point to this.
So we want to leave that alone.
I would suggest to staff that we would maybe shift some plantings around to provide that additional sod open space.
Okay, thank you.
So are we in a position where we're comfortable pushing that forward without seeing that again? I think these are all reasonable.
Yeah, I think I would be,
Yeah,
because they'll work with the staff. Perfect to clarify, so.
okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 23-15-DR with conditions as outlined in the staff report. And additionally, in the area along North Sailor Avenue, adjust planting in that area to create more open green space while maintaining the integrity of the buffer along Sailor. Additionally, in the northeast corner of the site, create more green space with the fenced area to the north of Building F to include a play area for children. And I think that would probably do it.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And thank you to the applicant for working with us on that. Thank you. With that, I see no other items on the agenda. Is there any reports or anything from the staff?
Nope, not at this time.
Thank you.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.